whoever gets this job is going to make the best fried chicken on the planet. We have to have it. We have to have it. And he goes, how you want it? Dill pickle brine, sweet tea brine, saltwater brine, buttermilk brine, single dredge, double dredge.
Yep.
It was like watching Forrest Gump with Bubba talking about shrimp. I have never in my life, man. He just kept going. And at the end, I went, yes.
What's up, guys? I'm Austin.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Sean. Welcome to the Three Cheese Podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Three Cheese Podcast, recorded live in Nashville, Tennessee. We're taking a deep dive with entrepreneurs into the bold and risky leaps of faith that were pivotal on their journeys to where they are today. Today's guest is Austin Smith, a restaurateur that started Party Fowl, Nashville's first full-service hot chicken restaurant. Today, they've got 5 locations, and they're opening 2 more in the next year. You'll hear about him risking 6 times more than he originally planned to start the business, how a wild serial emailer became his head chef, and some major lessons we all learned from starting a pop-up business called Draftville. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and enjoy this episode of the Three Cheese Podcast.
So, dude, give us a basic overview of like how you kind of got into Party Fowl. Like, where did that come from? Because I know you didn't start off making hot chicken. You love baseball. You're a chicken connoisseur. But where did that start, man? Like, how did that journey begin?
Yeah, so my first job was working concessions when I was about 12 years old at the Texas Troubadour Theater in Music Valley Drive. And my mom sang as Patsy Cline there for years. And so I did concessions there. And when I was old enough, I think it was 15, 16, I started working at On the Border in Antioch. And I was a host because I wasn't old enough to serve. Then I became the tortilla man in the middle of the room with plexiglass everywhere. I just made tortillas all day.
Okay,
Nice.
Wait a minute,
On display.
like on display.
Yes.
Were there many other people that were just white Caucasian men making tortillas in the middle of the room? Just a curious
It was
question.
just you.
Just me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, one of a
Okay.
kind, guys.
That's pretty awesome.
One of a kind, pushing the boundaries. So yeah, so I did that. I've worked every job that you can possibly work in a restaurant, and I just love it. I'm a front of house guy, though. I'm a people person. I've got to be behind the bar. I've got to be greeting a table. Even now, even though I'm not serving stuff, I greet tables like every time I can, and connect with folks. And so I love the restaurant industry. I just had a thing for it. And let's see. I became a wine and liquor distributor with Athens Distributing, and I had 125 accounts that I dealt with that I helped them with their cocktail program, wine menu, train their staff, things of this nature. And I got to see behind the curtain. Like, I got to get to know owners and GMs and folks like that, and really get to see what makes these places go, and the things that worked, the things that didn't, and that's where I started to build this list of do's and don'ts for myself in business if I was going to open my own restaurant someday. And then it was sort of a kind of a joke at first. I had a team called Party Fowl, a softball team, and I went to work at 360 Bistro in Belmead, which is my business partner Nick Jacobson's restaurant that he owns, and then we are partners on Party Fowl. And he started playing softball with us, and for like 7 years, it was sort of like, oh, wouldn't that be a fun chicken joint, And I was not giggling as much as I was like, this would be. Let's do this thing. So I started to put that together in my head, kind of what I wanted. And the reason Party Fowl exists is because, I read this book, Blue Ocean Strategy, and it basically teaches you to, not be feeding in the same area as everybody else to look for your own blue ocean. Actually, Harry Jacobson, Nick's father, gave that to me when I was managing their wine shop next to the restaurant there. And that changed everything I was thinking about. I had all these concepts in my head, things I want to do. And when I read that, I went, okay, I can scrap all that. I got to come up with something where I'm the only one feeding there. That's my piece of blue ocean. So what there was, it was a lack of the full package with Nashville hot chicken. No restaurant had done full service with hot chicken, full bar with hot chicken, enough TVs to watch a ball game, some live music. There was just this void. Nashville's #1 food. There wasn't an environment where you can experience everything Nashville loves to do under one roof.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because you had Bolton's and Pepper Fire, which was just kind of like a shack that you go into and you sit on like a picnic table.
Degrees.
And
they're all fast casual. They're all
quick
serve.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing, is like, I loved hot chicken, but I want the full service. I love, because I come from that industry. I've always been a server, bartender myself. You know, I love the interaction of having full service. So I just thought it would be a really unique thing to do, would be to start this concept. And, you know, we thought we had a good little idea on our hands and had no idea what we were getting into. Had just no idea.
So the actual idea of I might want to start a restaurant one day, when did that start?
It's probably been 10 years. So basically, once I got it in my head and I decided what I wanted to do, it did not take long. Like, it wasn't like, oh, one day I'm going to own a restaurant.
Right.
I'm going to create Party Fowl. No, it was once Party Fowl clicked and I had the concept and the pieces coming together and my business partner was excited, it was lightning speed.
Lightning speed, though, that's
Yeah.
crazy
Now-
when you're starting a business, like, especially when you've never started one.
Right.
Was he all the expert in all that? Or, like, how did this, like, the documents, the locations, how did that?
So Nick has owned his restaurant since 2005, 2006.
So he had a little bit of.
So he had years and years of restaurant experience. I had front of house, back of house. I now had the bar liquor side / working with suppliers, distributors. I knew that. You know, I knew my weakness was back of house, and that's when I met Tiffany and Bart, and everything was good after that. I was a nervous wreck. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I stayed a nervous wreck for probably 4 or 5 years after opening, because, you know, 4 out of 5 restaurants fail in the first 2 years, and out of the 1 out of 5 that make it past 2 years, 75% of those fail by year 5. This is not one of those things where you're like, dude, I got some money, let's open a bar. If you have not done it, if you have not lived it, and you do not know the inner workings, do not invest in a restaurant. Or
Let me
bar.
ask you a question though. You continue to move forward. Like, what was it that did you just put like this fake it till you make it face on in front of you?
100%.
Okay, so we say this all the time. Like, perception is reality, and sometimes you just have to put that perception out there that you've got it, and just try to back up every moment of every decision that you make and continue to push forward. And it's like,
listen, man, you know this about me. I'm a salesperson. That's
Right.
what I do, and you know, I definitely talked a big game for sure. And, you know, but then when you talk that big, you got to bring it. You know, I'm a big fan of speaking things into existence. If I tell everybody that I'm going to do this, I'm going to follow through and I will execute this, will happen. I really approach every aspect of my life with that. I speak it into existence. Once Nick and I had this idea, it was just like, okay, we're doing it. So literally I was working at Athens Distributing and I was driving my route downtown, and I drove by 8th and Division, and this building was like baby poop yellow, had gunshot holes in the windows, had dead rats under the bar. There were homeless people living in the basement. I mean, this was not,
Wow.
that area wasn't anything
it
like
was
it is now.
100% not developed.
No, when I took that property over, people laughed at me. They're like, what in the hell are you actually doing? Like, what are you doing?
And when they said that,
Yeah.
how did you feel?
I just told them, I said, there's only so many corners that are left coming out of downtown Nashville, and I just got one.
Yeah. Creating the
100%.
FOMO.
Right.
The FOMO before there is it. You're like, yeah, you're going to want this. You just don't know when, and I don't
know.
either, but
I mean,
That was
I got that building for nothing. I mean, honestly, we have a lease there that would make other restaurateurs sick, because we took it when nobody was over there. I mean, across the street wasn't the high-rise apartments and condos. It was a car quest, you know. And
you had Frugal McDougal's,
Frugal
and
McDougal's,
then
yeah.
and the social club
The
over there.
social club, you know.
I'll never forget the first time I saw people walk out of there and they looked famished, and they come across and we just
Famished.
They're like, bro, I will literally eat anything.
Oh.
Can you just put some stuff on a plate? I'll eat anything. I had a salad that was a misfire, and one of the guys was going to take it home, and I was like, here, y'all share this salad.
Oh.
And they ate and recharged their motor.
Man,
and they went
that's
back to the
good.
club.
That's good.
So, you know, just for the people who don't know, the social club is just a place that it does not exist. I know they tried to move close to a school. I think it's just a swingers and
Yeah, but they like to socialize on a different level.
It was an official socialization spot for, you know, adults.
We're jumping right past the fact that you said they tried to open next to the school.
Well,
I'm just over here dying.
they tried to move locations, and that got weird. I followed it oddly closely. I prank called him once. Colin, we had him walk into the front door one time. Weird younger days, but all that to say, they love hot chicken, and they were big, you know, proponents of your restaurant.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
For sure. I mean, who wouldn't be, though? Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
that's
right.
That's
And
so
especially
true.
when you work up an appetite like that.
Well, dude, you said something a minute ago that I don't want to pass over, but you said, you know, when you met Tiffany and Bart, And we're huge on, man, like the people that you have inside of your organization are one of the most invaluable things that you can have. And it's like finding the right people is one, hard, and two, one of the most important things, if not the most important thing in like doing and running your business.
Yep.
How did that happen for you when you were creating this stuff? Like, how did you assemble your team? Like, what did that look like for you guys?
So when I was told that our loan was approved and we were able to move forward, my first phone call was not my mom or my dad or anybody. I called Tiffany Thompson, and I had worked with her when I was at Athens Distributing. She was the operational manager over Losers and Winners, Doghouse, and the Losers that they have done outside the state line. I think they did Tuscaloosa, and they're in Belize, I think. Anyway, or Key West maybe. Vegas, yeah. So she was in charge of all their restaurants. She ran it all, and I just thought that she was the baddest woman I'd ever met. I was like, that is who I need riding with me on this. And I try to surround myself with people who have strengths where I have weaknesses. And she is so organized, so diligent, and just she's so on top of it. Where I am, idea, cool, let's do this, and let's change this over here. And ooh, you know what we're going to try next month? And I'm always trying to think about how to get that next leg up and get a little energy with the brand. She keeps me in check. She'll tell people that her official job title is my handler, and Bart's, and Chef Bart's. So that was it. I mean, right away, I called her. Now, she said, yeah, I'm doing some other things, so I can't work full-time with you. I was like, well, just come on as a consultant, help me with my paperwork, help me file, do all the things. And it took her a while to realize that I was just baiting her in. Once she got in there and started to do it and started to see it come together, it was, okay, I'm all in. And she's been my ride or die. She is the vice president of my company. I tell people, if Tiffany says something, you do not have to ask my permission. You just get it done.
Yeah.
Tiffany has
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was my first.
That's trust, right?
That's trust.
And you got to have it.
Trust her with everything. Her kids, 3 of her kids work in my locations right now.
Nice.
I mean, it's just amazing.
That's awesome.
Keeping the family. My kids aren't old enough, but they're going to be on that free labor soon.
Nice. Bart, how did you meet Bart exactly?
So the Bart story is fantastic. And so I'm a little different than most folks. I usually have a little flair. You guys can, sympathize with that. Y'all have that flair yourself. I do things a little differently. So instead of writing an ad that said I'm looking for a corporate chef or blah, 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 I wrote a love letter to Hot Chicken. And basically must love dogs. And my thing said must love chicken. And I wrote a love letter to chicken looking for my soulmate for Hot Chicken. And out of like 80 resumes that I got in, I had 3 that I had pulled aside that I was like, I want to have these people cook for me and see what they're all about. And this guy kept sending me his email, his resume twice a day, every day for 8 days. Swear to God. Ernest Bart Pickens, twice a day, every day, 8 days, just boom, boom. So finally I call him, I'm like, hello? And he goes, I love chicken. And I said, all right, but dude, look, I looked at your resume. There's just no possible way I can afford you. He goes, you don't know that. So he comes to meet Nick and I at 360 out in Belmead, and we interview him. And, I start off with, before we even get into this, before I tell you what the full concept is, I just need you to know, whoever gets this job is going to make the best fried chicken on the planet. We have to have it. We have to have it. And he goes, how you want it? Dill pickle brine, sweet tea brine, saltwater brine, buttermilk brine, single dredge, double dredge. Yep. It was like watching Forrest Gump with Bubba talking about shrimp. I've never in my life, man. And he just kept going. And at the end, I went, yes. I want all of that. Yeah. Like, I want to try everything. He made us some pickle brine chicken too. And so the day that he cooked for us, I had always had this idea, like when we opened Party Fowl, it was going to be a little more rustic. And I was going to bring back like the old Western, like hot pickled eggs, that are like $1 on the back. And I was going to call them foul balls, right?
Nice.
So anyway, what are you going to do?
Don't glaze over the fact that that's like a big part of who Austin Smith is the creative naming, the let's just run with the gut feelings, and I aspire that for us, and we always try and do that. All right, continue.
Where was I?
You were just talking about you wanted to bring back the old Western feel and the foul balls.
So he's bringing the food out, and I can see through the window and see him plating things, and I see these little fried balls, and I'm like, what are those? Well, turns out they were basically a boudin ball. It's just New Orleans style dirty rice fried like an arancini, but he called them foul balls, and we had not had that discussion. So I went, okay, this guy gets me. If I leaned over to Nick, I said, if this guy's cooking is even 3/4 of what we think it's going to be, this is our guy.
Right.
And he blew our faces off. And so Bart was with me, man, probably 7 months before we actually opened the restaurant. I mean, during the whole build out, I went ahead and got him in so we could start to go through what are we going to need in this kitchen? How do we need to design this kitchen? What smallwares do we need? How many plates, silverware? 30 years of experience. I mean, it's just unreal, his knowledge. So I started with Tiff and Bart, and they are still with me to this day.
That's one heck of a team to start out with.
Right.
And then you've got your partner, Nick, and his experience. I mean, that is an amazing amount of knowledge within that small amount of people.
Yeah, everyone says, how are y'all so successful? I said, I am surrounded by amazing people, surrounded by them.
Yeah, so that story of you guys beginning is awesome. And honestly, I love hearing it because it's kind of rare. You do hear a lot of people who try to do that and fail. And so with our podcast being one where we really are seeking to relate to other business owners through things that aren't normally brought up, like if it's like, hey, how's business? Good, right? We want to explore a little more on what we're calling leaps of faith, which are these moments where you're looking at a decision that you have to make and you immediately feel that fear, anxiety, whatever in your gut, knowing this is either going to work out really well, and I think it has a shot to, or this could be the end of it all. Mm-hmm. That type of gravity decisions. Yeah. Can you name for us and talk about a leap of faith you had to take when starting out at the beginning of Party Fowl?
Yeah, so this is touching back on that little story earlier about the original building. So our original loan was very small that we asked for. I was like, I can open this restaurant for next to nothing, so I'm not going to give totals out, but I'll just say very approachable, and we got approved for that, right? Well, once I met Bart, and I'm looking at the 600 square foot kitchen with no room to do anything, I said, I can't have that guy on my staff and restrict him to 600 square feet of kitchen space and try to pump out something amazing. Like, we really need to let this guy do his thing because he is super talented. And so I started thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? There's no room. I can't make the basement because it's too short, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to double the building out back. I'm going to go as far as they'll let me go, and I'm going to double this building. And
wait, so I didn't even know that. So that whole building itself, you actually did an addition and
from scratch, that back half from scratch, built the kitchen in, ran all the new gas lines, ran the whole 9 yards. It is brand new when we did it in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was quite an undertaking. So literally my ask went from a very approachable amount to more than 6 times that amount, because I was building up, basically doubling the structure, all brand new, full kitchen.
In an area that is underdeveloped.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're taking a major risk as it stands.
I mean, I that was the day that Harry looked at me in such a way that I felt bad. I felt guilty for everything. I was like,
and Harry
that's Nick's father. He's the one who's helping us with this project. And when I said, hey, I now need this much money, he looked at me in a way that still hurts my feelings.
You can see it. You can see it.
Yeah. I looked at him, I was like, just trust me, and he was like, buddy, he was just.
When you said, just trust me, to his face, what were you feeling on the inside?
Destroyed.
Right.
Because the face that he makes when you blow it would be so much worse.
Right. And so thank God that he and Nick had faith in me, and we pushed through, and thank God. That was
what gave you the confidence to say, I'm going to ask for this big thing. I've never done this before, but it's this or I'm doing it. What gave you the confidence instead of saying, well, we'll just have a smaller kitchen and we'll just see if it works? And what gave you that?
And you've never done it before.
Right, ever.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly.
No, I walked right into it blind, really. I mean, I had my knowledge of everything. But no, it's drive. If you have passion, if there's something that you're trying to achieve, if you're trying to better yourself, and you are really, really being purposeful about that, then you have to go. You have to push the needle.
Would you say that you believed in yourself?
Yeah.
That much?
I did.
You knew
that you would just figure it out no matter what.
I knew I'd figure it out.
Right.
I was like, I know so much about this, and I will figure out the rest as I go. And I'll tell you, me the first day we opened that store, and me now, I still don't know it all, but I know a lot damn more than I did back then.
Right.
I learn every day. I learn something new. Right. We get better as a team every day. It's unreal. It's there's never a day where you'll go, I know everything. I got it. Nope.
So specifically with this leap of faith where you said, I'm doubling the business, I'm asking for 6 times more money, I'm going to be far more in debt than I was to begin with. What was the immediate result that you can point back to at this time? What was the result of doing that?
Bart got a big kitchen. Bart got to do a full menu. Okay. And we got to play. And because of some of those things, we got featured on television shows. We got featured in magazines and newsprint and all this stuff because we went for it. So September of 2014 is when we opened the first store. We had all of our food cooking on the line, a full restaurant for friends and family. And we were also cooking up for being open the rest of the weekend after the friends and family. And our smoker, the water was out. The smoker caught on fire. The fire went up into my hood system. That dropped the Ansel chemicals all over my kitchen. Man. There was smoke building upstairs. The fire department shows up. I run upstairs and go, ladies and gentlemen. I said, unfortunately, food service will be suspended for the rest of the evening, but the bar is still open. As the fire truck pulls up, I said, I told you this shit was hot. And everyone was taking pictures with the firefighters and stuff, and it was like one of those memorable moments.
Right.
But it's also one that we look back at all the time. Like, did everyone check the water in the damn smoker before we opened it? Do not burn down. Just the Ansel alone is $5,000 to reload the chemicals.
Oh my God!
That doesn't include the cleanup and everything. It is.
That's crazy.
It was, and we lost all that food product. What a way. Yeah, I'll never forget. Nick was sitting down there on the expo line, and he had tickets all around his neck, looked like Rambo. The tickets were hanging off the printer. The rails were full. He goes, "We never should have opened. We were not ready. We never should have opened." I go, "Here, you go kiss babies. I'm gonna take over expo." And it took us about 40 minutes, but we got out of the weeds, and started cruising after that. So,
wow.
And the beginning reception from people in Nashville it
was great. It was really great. When we started off. I didn't know what to expect. And for the first few years, I'll be honest, it wasn't tremendously successful. Like, we did great, right? But it wasn't like I'm going, woohoo, I'm going to open new stores immediately. No, it took a minute before, actually, it was 2.5 years. I just can't wait for anything. I'm so jumpy. I'm like, let's just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
2.5 years of figuring it out.
Yeah, 2.5 years. And I was the GM for the first portion when we opened up downtown. And we had this consultant who told me I would never be able to be an efficient owner if I was the general manager. And I fought tooth and nail. I just couldn't leave the building.
Obviously, like, it started becoming successful. You started getting them some traction. This guy's basically saying, like, hey, dude, like, you can't work on the business and in the business and grow the business. Like, what was that next leap of faith that you feel like was really to start getting you to that next level?
So I backed away and put Tiffany Thompson in as the GM for a while. I think she was GM for maybe a year and a half before we put someone else in there and freed her
And you
up.
moved kind of back.
I was still very much there all the time. I didn't stop coming every day until like week 3, I think. And I was sitting at the back of the restaurant right before we opened, and they walked up and goes, "We got it. You can go home." I had a nervous breakdown. Like, I just started crying uncontrollably. I didn't even know why.
Wow.
I just broke. Because I'm telling you that, like, at the first, like, you're working so hard, and some days you're like, oh, we're getting our doors blown off. It's crazy. Some days it'll be completely dead, and that's when you start going, oh,
what did we do wrong?
No.
Yeah.
Is this how it's going to be? And then all of a sudden, boom, you'll hit again.
Yeah,
so it took us like 2 years in Nashville to really build up, and every year it's just been an improvement.
Well,
steadily.
I want to stay there for a second because that resonated with me, and I think it probably resonated.
As
with
soon
these
as you
guys.
said that, I was like,
yeah,
we were just talking about that today, honestly.
Well, let's normalize the idea that, like, we're business owners, and some people may say, like, oh, I wish I could run a business like that, or I wish I could do that, and we appreciate that sentiment, but also know, like, there's times when we're having nervous breakdowns. There's times where we're having panic attacks. There's times
have it all together.
There's times where we look at each other and go, I have no idea if this is going to work, and I don't know how we're going to pay what we need to pay for.
Yep. No, all the time. I literally was just super stressed all the time because it was single thing. I'll tell you, it has gotten easier.
Right.
We keep hiring great people and putting them into those positions. But for a while, it was me, Tiff, and Bart. And then I had a couple other managers, my cousin Kelsey, my buddy Grant Fisher. We had a few other managers there. But at the end of the day, we weren't leaving. Bart was there probably. He still works 120 hours. I'm like, dude, I only need 55 hours. He's like, that's cool, And then he'll come in at 4:30 in the morning and stay till 7:30 p.m. And I'm like, go home.
Wow.
And did that, and just we'll touch on this for a second, but doesn't it, like when you're there, it's not just the business. So you're stressed about the business, and then it affects all other aspects of your life.
100%. Yeah, we have, because of that, and that's a part of this thing. We have 2 rules at Party Fowl. They have nothing to do with food. Rule number 1 is we're a family. Rule number 2 is don't poison the well. And that's touching on kind of that thing is sometimes you don't even mean to be poisoning the well and bringing people down, but when all that stuff is very apparent, and it bleeds, especially in an environment like a restaurant. I tell people all the time, so don't poison the well. I don't care if you're the best employee in this building at what you do. You can't work here unless you bring joy and you build people up and you bring positivity. And so that is the only 2 rules we have.
And what's interesting about, I'll just touch on poisoning the well, and you can correct me if you don't think this is accurate, but poisoning the well isn't bringing in stuff. Like, we're all dealing with stuff, but it's the idea that you can't recognize it and you can't use the people around you to help get back to that point of like, hey, yeah, life's not great, but we're going to figure this out together.
Instead of spewing it out and just negative and just like completely making every conversation just
or just being at the server station and be complaining about a table that's not treating you well or something, or didn't tip you well earlier, and just starting that negativity. It breeds. And listen, I tell my team all the time, I don't care how big you smile when you greet that table. If you are not there, they'll see right through it.
Absolutely.
And also you feel it when you walk into restaurants, you walk into venues and stuff like that. Like, honestly, you can feel when there's good vibes going on, and you can feel when it's tense. Tell me you can't.
Do restaurant owners talk about that though? The like unseen vibe?
I do. I do all the time.
Okay.
Like, this is a daily thing that we talk about with our company. Most restaurateurs, they do that. It's the nonverbals, like the staring at managers like in the side of their head and putting a hole in their head. That one's a good one. That you always know something's wrong there. If someone is playing with their food and not eating it, just moving it around their plate. If someone has their hands in their lap and aren't touching anything on the table, these are the times where you go, oh, what did we do?
Red flag.
Yeah.
Manager.
And you don't run away from those scenarios?
No, our goal is to make everyone a regular. Our goal is to make sure that everyone leaves with a great experience. And sometimes to our own detriment. We're really sweet. We've had some punks come in, man.
Yeah.
Telling you.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I go back to restaurants and places where I do feel like I'm comfortable, and like if I've had one bad experience with a server, that is like a great reason to never go there again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it takes is one.
And you're just like, eh.
But a good experience is enough to get me to go back for a lifetime. I mean, that's all it takes.
Right. That's what we preach.
In the essence of continuing to get to the next kind of big leaps, because that's one of the biggest things for us is really getting to know those sides of things that people don't really get to hear a lot of times. So obviously you're successful. You've been able to, kind of get the Nashville store really rolling. I assume that you start, going into your next location. Let's talk about another moment where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, I think this is a good idea, and actually then take that leap.
Well, guys, I mean, y'all were there. Draftville.
Thanks for listening to the Three Cheese Podcast. If you're enjoying this content, then please subscribe, rate, and review. This episode was sponsored by our company, Mac and Cheese Media, a video company that creates scroll-stopping videos that drive results for your business. If you're a business owner that wants to accomplish your goals through video, then visit our website at macandcheesemedia.com. Now back to the podcast.
Oh, we didn't know you were going to bring that up.
Yeah. I'm going to fast forward this to a degree.
Yeah.
But long story short, that failure taught us so much about life, about relationships, about work-life balance type stuff, about decision making, when to pull the trigger, when to hold back, when to have more conversation, and what it means to start a pop-up business in 3 months around the biggest event in the world. So what did you learn, Austin?
That the NFL's got powerful attorneys.
But what else did you learn?
That had all the potential to be great, but I didn't really have time to do it. I should have been focused on Party
spreading
Fowl,
spreading yourself.
Spread myself too thin.
Don't overextend yourself.
So we actually were looking at this same exact thing happened. We were actually looking at another space in the Cool Springs area to do a different concept, and we started to get really serious. I was like, here's what it's going to be. Here's what we're going to do. And it was over the top, really cool concept. And the deal was going to be great. I mean, it was going to be a great lease. And I just kept sitting on it. And I was like, every second that I spend building this new brand and spending those painful years of getting it off the ground and getting it to where it's moving in the right direction, I have to do that again. And how am I going to be taking care of Party Fowl and that team if I'm over here dividing my time? So it really taught me to reel it in. I've got something great here. I need to focus all of my attention here and keep pushing the gas pedal down. And I'm a hard-headed dude, so that thing is all the way down, and we're rolling downhill, and the brakes are cut.
I mean, and that's kind of, I guess, if somebody can relate to this, where there's all these opportunities, there's going to be a plethora of opportunities that present themselves throughout the time as a business owner. But learning, one of the most maybe powerful principles is learning when to say no to things that you really deeply feel like you want to do, but having a reason behind them. I do want to go to a question, because you just mentioned it, how you wouldn't be able to take care of Party Fowl, if you spread yourself too thin. What are these traits that Party Fowl has, like the innate traits that you've instituted that makes you guys a successful business, one that didn't fail? What are the unique value props that the Party Fowl brand brings to the table in terms of how they run their business that makes you guys, successful?
I mean, between, our three original corporate team members, myself, Tiffany, and Bart, we have 75 years of restaurant and bar experience between the three of us. The most important thing, though, is that culture and is that family quality. I mean, everyone says that. Like, I think every job interview I've ever been on, every job I've ever started, it's like, we're a family here, whatever. No, we seriously are. Like, we know each other's kids, and not just the corporate team, our servers, our bartenders, our line cooks. Like, we know them. Like, we really are close to our people. They don't have to think there's somebody up in an ivory tower, making decisions because it looks good on paper. Like, hey, Austin's right there. Hey, guys, what's up? I have an idea. Cool. What is it? Oh, man, that actually might work. You know what? Let's look into that a little further. I'm approachable to them, and I also go to war with them. If we are getting our butts kicked, you'll see me busting tables, greeting people, wiping tables down, and helping run food. I mean, and Tiffany's the same way. Bart's the same way. I mean, we do hourly positions almost every day at some point.
Wow. But knowing the type of person that you are, you got 5 locations now. I know that 5, it's about to be 6 with, B&A. I know that this isn't the only kind of aspirations for Party Fowl that you have. So knowing that, those rules, and that number one rule being like, we're a family, like, how do you see, like, as Party Fowl continues to grow and, you go into other locations and maybe even out of the state, like, how do you project trying to keep that same level of togetherness?
Well, we've started to expand our corporate team, and, the family first thing is huge for us, but I also ask everyone to be an extension of me. Like, how would I have talked to that table, regardless of if they were right or wrong? How would I have spoken to those people? Would I have invited them back? Would I have given them my card and said, next time you come in, I'm going to buy you something? Are you treating everyone the way that I would treat them? It's your house party. These are your guests. What are they going to say about you when you leave? And so challenging each other to do that, I think, has been why we stay so successful. Is we really are family. We take care of our team, and we try to take care of the guests. We tell our team they're supposed to make every guest a regular, whatever it takes. That's the goal. And we win some, we lose some. There's some people who aren't fans of Party Fowl. There's some folks who love Party Fowl. We have to be consistent.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. I mean, I don't think every restaurant has that mentality, right? That, like, these are my guests. I think some restaurants you can feel like they feel like, they're the ones that you deserve to, praise them for what, they do or whatever. Some people, some restaurants have that mentality, but how do you handle somebody who had a terrible experience and wants, like, the worst case scenario? There's so many ways you can go about handling it. Don't ever come back here. You guys are a little out of line, whatever. How do you handle the worst case scenario at a table?
I think I've had to do that one time ever where someone was so awful. I told them they could never come back. Usually I can fix it, or they'll walk away while I'm still talking while I'm trying to fix it.
Right.
I'm gonna keep talking until you're at the dusty taillights. But we're just diligent about it. I mean,
You're
we
intentional.
respond to every single social media, review. If someone reviews us on Yelp, Google, Facebook, whatever, we respond to those, and we take them very seriously, the good ones and the bad ones. The bad ones, is it always really as bad as they've made it seem? No, usually if you've pissed them off to the point they give you a bad review, everything is a little inflated, and I know because I'm also a consumer. I get it, right? so sometimes it's blown a little out of proportion. Once you get to talk to the folks and get to know the situation, like, okay, I know exactly where we went wrong, and this is what I'd like to do. I want you to come back and be my guest. Ask for me, and hopefully I'll be around. I'll come out and introduce myself to you. And thank you so much for giving us another chance. That's all I can ask for. Sorry we let you down. Jump on the grenade. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the culture that you've created there.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. So, restaurants are back open 100%. We're moving forward 2021. Things are coming back alive. Nashville is moving again. But you're a restaurant owner. I would love you to kind of like speak to kind of like what last year looked, what did it look like for you?
So we had the good fortune to open our highest overhead unit 2 weeks before the pandemic shut us
Oh,
down.
you opened Cool Springs.
Cool Springs, man. Beautiful
crazy.
space. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful buildings we've put together. It is gorgeous.
It is great. I love that location.
So we opened up on March 2nd, and I mean, it was just like we had the tornado immediately, and some of our staff was affected by that.
Man.
And then less than 2 weeks later, shutdown, And, we wanted to keep the family together. I knew that at some point, we'd be at the end of this thing. So we offered family meals to all of our hourlies who were on unemployment, 2 meals a day for however many folks live in your household. And
That's awesome.
a lot of people took us up on it. Chef Bart always took care of making sure everyone got fed.
But I know that had to be kind of scary for you too. It's same side. Like, we don't know what this pandemic holds. We have no idea what it's going to look for. So, I mean, I know that there was some scaredness on your side going,
Yeah.
dang, I don't know.
No, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, it was scary, but I mean, I was actually pretty calm about it. My team was actually shocked at how I was like, okay, so this is what we can do now. And
You just mentioned the fact that everyone was shocked and surprised about how calm you were,
Yeah.
right, during this very extreme time. And guess where I go right back to? Your mental breakdown the first week or first opening of your first
right.
location. I go back to the resilience that you form when you've been through
it's true.
some very stressful times.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, this is bad. This is real bad.
This sucks,
But
but we're gonna be good. We're gonna figure it out.
we'll
We
figure
figured
it out.
before. We'll figure it out
We'll
again.
figure it out again. So, kind of changing tunes. I just have it's a 3-pronged question. It's about physical, mental, and spiritual. If you care to touch on that, as a business owner, and you've actually had a transformation recently. What's been one of the hardest parts for you, actually physically, like physically demanding in business, right?
So during the pandemic, for the first probably 3 or 4 weeks, I came home at night, ordered some Uber Eats, and had a few whiskeys. Every night, sit in my recliner. My wife and I would watch our shows and chill, or we watch something with the kids. And I just sat in that recliner and drank my whiskey and ate my Chinese food, my pizza, whatever we were eating. And, come a little further down the road, we're playing softball again. And I've had 3 calf tears in 3 years. And it's because I'm severely overweight. I was 366 pounds last July. Then, we started to have some more success. We got some new projects coming. And I went, damn, I'm not going to be around to help raise my kids. I'm not going to be around to be a part of Party Fowl. I'm not going to be able to play ball. I'm going to be in a wheelchair. Like I was like, that's how bad a shape I was in. My body just was breaking down on me.
Right.
And so I was like, you know what? It's the pandemic. We're only doing to-go and takeout. I have a little more time on my hands than I've ever had in my entire life. I'm going to start seeing a trainer. I'm just going to do it. So we went on our annual Man Weekend trip in July of last year, and I told the boys when I left, I said, when I leave here, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to lose 100 pounds by the time y'all see me next year.
Wow.
And they were like, ha, ha, ha. I think I said that like the last 7 years in a row.
Right.
A couple of times I lost like 40,
Yeah.
But,
This time.
So I told them. And the next day when I got back, I'd set up to go start working with my trainer, Jeff Black. And we started doing 4 days a week of lifting and cardio and HIIT and tracking my food and put me on a macro diet and all this stuff. And I'll be honest, I've started training there before with Ashley, his ex, And I quit. I just would be like, I don't have time. I felt guilty. My 3 kids need to have me around. Like, I cannot keep going down this path. I could feel it. Like, I literally every day, like, just doing the simplest things just winded me and wore me out. And I was taking more naps. When I'd get home from work, I'd just go sit in my recliner and just doze off immediately every day. So I started at 366 pounds July 13th. And my first goal, it wasn't about weight loss for me. It was more about the physique and my look in the mirror, But I wanted to set goals because that's who I am. I have to say, I'm doing this by this time. That's going to happen. So my first goal was to lose 67 pounds before New Year. So in 6 months, 67 pounds, get under 300 for the first time in like 8 years. And so I did a fast on the day before, on New Year's Eve day, and I hit my goal. I hit 299 or 298.9 for New Year's. So immediately what I did, gentlemen, is I ordered the Chinese food. I immediately had a bourbon and I had a glass of wine. And then next day, back to grind time. The new goal was 100 pounds by July 13th.
Nice.
So I'm a week from tomorrow out, and I'm 94 pounds down.
You got 6 months in how many days?
No, I've got 6. I got a week from tomorrow left, and I've got 6 pounds to go. Have not eaten yet. No, I'm just kidding. I did. Tropical Cafe has some sweet flatbreads.
Ooh, see,
that
we do
sounds
have a
pretty
Tropical
good.
Cafe that I haven't indulged in.
My wife
you got any?
opened me to it. Yeah, the chicken chipotle flatbread.
Oh man,
$6.
Sounds pretty
Comes with
tasty.
Sun chips, man. It's a knockout. I'm telling you. I've got one sitting in the fridge waiting on me.
In times of the ultimate kind of fear situations in business, what do you rely on to get you through?
Oh, I pray a lot. I do. Even when we first started and we got our first loan, I prayed every single night the same thing. I said, if this is not going to be a blessing on the people who work here and it's not going to be successful, it's not going to be something great in my life, then don't even let me taste it. Don't even let me touch it. Just kill it now. And I actually was praying for him to shut it down. If this is not going to be a blessing, I don't want to touch it. I don't even want to get near it. I don't want to feel it. And every time there was like a speed bump, we'd get there. Like, we'd get over that hump. And I was like, man, it just keeps working. It just keeps, every time I think we're about to have a pressure point, something great happens. Now my prayers are different. Now I pray every night that everyone who works there is blessed and that they're able to take care of their family and that Party Fowl is a blessing on their life. And like I said, rule number 1, I pray for my team and my staff because if it wasn't for them, I don't get to do anything. I don't get to do any of this. This is what I love to do, and because of them, I get to. So that's why we are so
well, and I think that one of the things for us is some of that fake it till you make it mentalities or that perception is reality. Like some of that is just like smiling through the grit and the I don't know, and just trusting that God's got the other side of it, and then just hoping that gut feeling, that faith feeling is like, all right, God, I'm gonna step out here and I hope this works. It's like, I think, I know you can relate to that going, okay, Harry, I need this much money and this is what we're going to do with it. You're gritting there saying trust me. But at the end of the day, you're kind of just relying kind of back on that faith, almost I think it's going to work.
Yeah.
I just always believed that we could figure it out.
Yeah.
I always believed we could get there. And so far.
Thanks for sharing that. I think for me, what, the reason I love hearing answers like that and asking that question is because it makes it less lonely to be going through those times where you're praying every night, if this isn't, take it from me or whatever, So I love that. Is there anyone, this is kind of changing a gear, is there anyone that has inspired you to do this in your life? Is there anyone in your life that that just oh man, they inspired you?
That one catalyst.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, my memo, I lived with her for a few years when I was younger, when my mom was doing her music thing. And she told me every day how special I was and how special I was always going to be. And I was one of God's chosen. She just always thought that I was just so blessed. And she would tell me every day. I mean, and when I went off to college and stuff, I would still call Mama every day because I needed to talk to her so she could, get me there. But she always had such high expectations for me. Sometimes it was suffocating. When I was in college, I didn't love school. It just, that wasn't me. My brain was already 100,000 other things were in it, and I'm like, well, I have to go to bio class. This is stupid. I loved my time at school, but that wasn't my drive. But Mama always was like, you got to do this. Like, you're going to be she always said, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. You know, that was the thing. Like, you got to be top dog. You got to, you know, and so her and Papa always pushed me to strive for more and to shoot for the moon and just go for it. My grandfather, he was an entrepreneur. I didn't know this until later, but he actually owned a restaurant. I think it was called Silver Bullet. It was a burger and milkshake joint.
It was in your blood.
And my mom used to work there, you know. He started his own real estate company, and I mean, he was an entrepreneur. My mama created her own dog breeding business that they've been doing for almost 30 years now. Like, very highly rated AKC dogs, Labradors and stuff. So, you know, they always taught me to shoot for it, and you know, I get it on both sides. I mean, my mom is a go-getter. She's a very entrepreneur, you know, spirit. She's always doing something that's just mind-blowing. Like, you know, she got to sing for President Bush, you know, when we were living in Branson, Missouri, and she's been on a TV show, and I mean, she's just, she raised me, you know, that took a lot, so God bless her for that one. But yeah, and then my dad, he was a go-getter. You know, he had the option to go pitch, you know, in the minor leagues or in a AAA system, or to go on the road as a touring piano player.
Wow.
He chose the piano, and I think he did the right thing. Yeah,
That's awesome.
And up until he passed, I mean, he was still in the studio. He was still on tour. And just killing it, man. So, yeah, I come from people who go for it.
Right.
Just go for it.
And that impacted probably all the way up to a conversation where it's like, yeah, give me 6 times what I asked for, because I'm going to go get it.
I'm going to get it.
I'm going to get it. My family got it. I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, it's very rare you find somebody hungrier than me, because I have a big appetite.
But I think that's really interesting, because I look at my history. I didn't come from any people that I can go back and go, man, these people really impacted. There are a couple people, but not like close people, not family members. And I'm a firm believer of you're a product of the environment that you were in. And that doesn't necessarily have to rely on like how you were raised and like who you are today, but like a culmination of all those things and like how you persevered through all of those different things. So it's just like, it's very interesting to me to see the type of person you become based on, you know, the people that we're putting into you, and just how you've thrived through that and continue to like push the limits, knowing like, okay, like I know my mama told me this, and it's like I'm gonna believe in myself, and you know what, I'm gonna just live out there and I'm gonna make it happen. And that's awesome. But you know, some people, good or bad situations, use those moments to propel them. So I mean, that's awesome. I love hearing stuff like that.
What were your proudest? What is, I guess, your proudest moment? I'll give you 2 or 3 if you have to.
Like Party
in
Fowl.
relation to your business.
Okay.
It's your proudest moments.
My dad got to play the. Sorry, that'll get me a little bit.
Oh, good, man.
We shut down Division Street, and we put a 30-foot stage out there, and he was touring with John Anderson again, who he had played on his original album with Seminole Wind, Straight Tequila Night, all that stuff. And John hadn't played Nashville in like 10 years. And so I said, hey, Dad, how much would John cost? We were looking for, you know, our main act. And so it was like 6 weeks after we opened that we did our big grand opening celebration. And so Dad got to play with John Anderson at my restaurant.
Wow.
That's crazy.
He passed 6 weeks later. Like, that was the last live show for him. So
That's awesome, man.
His last live show was at your restaurant.
yeah.
Wow.
I think so, unless he
you
snuck
have
one in that I wasn't at, you know.
Do you have a recording of it? Did you
So if you are in any of the restaurants, and we have our black and white picture collage walls, if you'll go over there, there's a picture, you'll see me in a crowd with a backwards hat, and if you look right over my shoulder is Dad on stage.
That's
playing the
awesome.
piano.
Dang.
That gets me every time.
Thanks for sharing that with us,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He was my boy.
Yeah.
And so that was a big one for me. My mama and papa and my mom walking in and getting to like eat at my restaurant for the first time, and you know, my stepmom, my brothers and sisters. You know, every time we do that. But I'm honest to God, like I get to do that kind of experience like all the time. Like every time I walk in and the shift's moving smooth, and I walk around, I see smiling faces. Like it feels that intense for me. That's how much I just.
It's like a child. It's like
it is.
You're like so proud of it.
Yep.
You're just like, oh my gosh.
Like when we open a new store, just like I know every single person that's probably never had anything like this.
Right.
You know, especially when we opened in Chattanooga, there were a lot of people they hadn't had hot chicken before. They didn't know what bushwhackers were, and I'm going, oh baby, we're gonna take you to church. I'm gonna show you some things, So we had so much fun with that, and just seeing everybody react and get excited, and the staff to be moving and hitting. There's just I get so much joy out of that because I nerd out on it. It's like my favorite thing. I love it.
Awesome.
It's awesome. But I mean that's a testament to your success
and your passion,
because you literally, it is a part of you. Like, you're going to continue pushing forward because it's like you get so much joy out of other people getting joy. Yeah. It's like they're sitting there eating good food, hanging out in an awesome environment, and everybody's just like enjoying themselves. And it's like that fills you up just to walk through there and see all that.
If we do our job right, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Sometimes we miss the mark, but that's what we shoot for.
Right.
We definitely, I love hearing that. Like, just love it. The fact that it doesn't get old, because I feel like when you're doing something that's strictly for money or whatever, it gets old. When you're not, it doesn't get old. And I strive for our business to scale in a way that just we can have people working in this environment that we can walk in and go, gosh,
this is it.
This is why we did it. Because people are finding the joy that we found when we were building this. And for us and for you, it's a little different. We're doing things a little different than you would when you walk down the street and you go into a similar establishment.
Right.
Yeah, you're doing what you love to do. I'm doing what I want to do. Don't do anything that you wouldn't do for free. That's
blue ocean, baby.
That's good. And that leads me to the next question. What would you tell others who have wanted to start a business but haven't been able to take that leap of faith?
You have to be convicted. You have got to be 100% all in. There's no dipping your toe into the deep end when it comes to this thing. If you
got to know your why.
You have to know your why, and you have to be convicted by that why, and you have to have a fierce drive.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get kicked a ton.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, you're gonna have a lot of panic attack moments. You're gonna have a lot of times that you mentally, physically cannot do anything else. That you are tapped beyond what a human can be tapped. You have to have that, be able to overcome it, and love what you're doing so much that
willing to risk it all.
Yeah. You just gotta fight for it, but you have to be convicted. There's no way to just partially go, I think I want to do this. Let's try it out. No,
you gotta go all in.
No.
Well said. Well said.
I didn't have this on my list of questions, but it's the last one I'm going to ask you, and you can take a second to answer it. Austin Smith in one word.
Convicted. Just kidding. Go.
I like that, actually. That's good. Driven.
Driven.
I would.
Family.
I would agree with
business,
that.
Driven.
Life. Yeah, absolutely. Driven.
Well, dude, thank you for coming out. Thank you for being a part of this with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is something that, is not a very easy thing to kind of get started, but we truly believe that we can and will and have made an impact on people's lives. And, we want to use this as an opportunity to share with other business owners that same thing and be able to, put these things out into the world, because I think so many business owners do feel alone. They don't feel like they can relate with people because, the ones that are really convicted by their why, they get kind of lost by like, I don't really know. And, so being able to hear like things like this is always a good measure for people to kind of go, okay, I got my driven status again. But dude, I just want to thank you for being such an amazing example to us.
Oh, man.
I'm excited to always hear the new things that you're doing. And, dude, it's always, you're such a positive person to be around. So it naturally flows off of you. So I always find myself in a more uplifted state when I depart you. So, man, I appreciate you sharing that joy, and you can obviously see it, pouring into your business and your life. So
yeah, you inspire us. I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, guys.
I just wanted to say, I love the fact that you take ideas and you get excited about them, and you are driven enough to actually make them happen. There's so many things that I want to do in my life that I'm like, in all of our lives and as a business and stuff. And a lot of times it's hard to take that leap and go, I'm going to do it. And, there's a lot of things in my personal life where I'm like, you just got to do it.
Just got to go.
It's like, I love that you do that. And it inspires me to just keep finding things that I want to do and just do it. So
do it, baby.
Yeah.
Nike. Had it right the whole time.
Nike. Yeah.
And I'll just say, I think the reason I think you've mentioned before to me that you just love the videos and the outside the box way that we've went about doing things.
Yeah.
And
everything else is so similar. Like
Right.
to stand out, Blue Ocean. Like
Right.
to have your own vibe, your own energy that's just different.
Right.
I was drawn to it right away. I was like, this feels like something I would be into. Like Party Fowl would love this. This is perfect, like, and I just always thought it was a perfect.
but I thoroughly appreciate that. And I want to say, like, I love that you have gone through all this, and by any metric you can weigh on, Party Fowl is a major success as a brand. But more importantly, and this is what I love about you, is you're always consciously thinking about the people who are involved in your ecosystem. The Party Fowl brand could reach 100 locations, but if your employees aren't happy, you failed. Yeah. And I see that in you. I'm saying that because that's what you've told me.
It's my job. I have to make sure that there's an environment that when they come to work, that it puts them in a good place. You know? I've driven up to many back doors to walk into work and be like, oh, I gotta get through today. And then I've had places like, I get to work with Jim and Ashley today. We're gonna have the doors up. The games are gonna be on, man. We're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be
nice.
I've had places where I loved it. And so I told people, going to work, having a job, being away from your family, that already takes enough of a toll. If you're going to be doing something, at least be in an environment where people give a damn that you're there, and care about you, and try to make it a great environment. And we fight daily to make sure that is. And
that's awesome.
So
it's important.
So there it is, and I appreciate that about you deeply. When there's a deep care in the heart of somebody that you respect in business, it's a real treat.
Thanks so much for listening to the Three Cheese Podcast. We hope you really enjoyed this episode. Please rate, review, and subscribe on whichever platform you use to get your podcasts. If you have any thoughts or feedback, shoot an email to podcast@macandcheesemedia.com. That's macandcheesemedia.com. Find us on social @3Cheese Podcast. We hope you have a fantastic day, and we will see you next time.